Hi, I'm JimClassic, and you are watching Geekin It. As many of you, or some of you, or perhaps none of you, saw my 35th .5 episode where I talked about my initial thoughts on the Power Rangers reboot. I decided now was a good time to review a Power Rangers toy, which I have been wanting to do for a long time. I kind of grew up on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I think in America it came out around 1993. I was about 13 years old at the time, and at first I didn't care much about it. I thought the special effects were just awful. I thought I was too old for it. I thought it was for like little kids and 4, 5, and 6 year olds. And it wasn't anything that really jived with me at the time. After watching it a few times, I kind of started to appreciate its campiness. I laughed at it more than I took it seriously as a superhero show. And, maybe that was the right mindset to get introduced to it at the age of 13. Even then I could appreciate campiness. And so I guess I kind of started to form an opinion from absolutely hating it to kind of neutral. Okay? That's kind of the level I was at the time. And this is probably about everyone's excuse for liking Power Rangers. So maybe I'm not that different, but I hadn't started to become a fan until the Green Ranger arrived. That's right, I am a Green Ranger fan. What can I say? Tommy Oliver is the bomb. Go Green Ranger, go. White Ranger, Tiger Power, all that jazz. I've always liked the Green and White Ranger respectively. What do you want from me? For being the Green Ranger, and then later the White Ranger, and then, I guess the Red Zeo Ranger and the Red Turbo Ranger, and he kind of came back as like the Black Dino Ranger, and then later on, he comes back again as the Green Ranger. So, okay, cool. I've always been a fan of the Green and White Ranger and his Zords. And I gotta say, the Green Ranger was always the most fun when he was evil. The 5-parter episode, Green with Evil, was probably one of the best. And also, for those of you who remember the White Ranger versus the Green Ranger 2-part episode, I wish they could have done more with that, but, honestly, I wish the Green Ranger had stayed on as evil. That's my take on this. I wish the Green Ranger was still evil. He was just more fun to watch that way. What can I say? I'm a twisted guy. And so, without further ado, here is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Limited Black Edition Legacy DragonZord. The Legacy Edition is kind of Bandai's version of bringing back some of the more retro Power Rangers in newer toys, better articulated figures, and all that stuff. And, I'm really liking the Legacy Edition stuff. I'm not buying a lot of them, but I'm definitely buying some of them. The Legacy DragonZord came out around, I think, 2015, if I remember correctly. It was a Toys R Us exclusive. However, I decided to pass on it. It wasn't exactly an easy decision for me as a collector, but it was about $80, and the fact that I already own the original DragonZord, I was tempted, but I just decided I shouldn't do it at this time. And it hung around the stores for months, I think well past Christmas into 2016, and maybe shortly after January of 2016, I stopped seeing the DragonZord. And I kind of felt, okay, the temptation is over. I've beaten the temptation, and I kind of felt good about it for a while. But then sometime later in 2016, the temptation came back with the black and gold edition. Now, even then, I was still kind of torn. I still wasn't sure, should I buy it, should I not buy it, oh, what do I do? I go to Toys R Us sometimes, and I kind of look around for Transformers and stuff, and I would just see this. It just kind of haunted me. Like, oh man, I'm such a DragonZord fan, what do I do? Well, I think it was back in August, in 2016, that I decided to pull the trigger and get the Black Edition DragonZord. But yeah, I was still kind of torn. I mean, for $80, I get it. As a collector, I know, collector's edition toys tend to have a hefty price tag. That comes with the territory. And as a collector, I do kind of accept that. But it was just one of those things in the back of my head, and it just never left me alone.
No. Never leaves you alone. Never alone. It's always talking, saying telling it. We're never.
But later, I ended up getting approved for a Toys R Us credit card. And I decided, well, I could always pay it off after a few payments, so I figured, now is the time. Now, funny story. Story time, kids. Even though I think this is kind of a story. I was gonna go and buy it. I was on my way to work, and I stopped by the Toys R Us on my way to work, and I had the box in my hand. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking about it, and a part of me told me I couldn't do it. It was not the time yet. I don't know where this voice came from, but I said, okay, I'm going to listen to you. I put it back, okay? But the itch was still there, but again, something told me, don't buy it yet. So I was torn, but I did listen to my little friend in my head. But I went about to work. So a few hours later, I'm on the road for work, and I passed another Toys R Us. And I decided, you know what, I'll stop by again. I have a little bit of time to kill. My job kind of allows me a lot of unsupervised free time, so I kind of took it. Truth be known, I was actually looking for more Transformers Titans Return figures, and I really wasn't looking for the DragonZord specifically. But of course, I did walk by the aisle. I did see it, on display. And I picked it up again. And I looked at it again. And this time, the little voice did say, now is the time. Now is your moment. And I seized that moment. Yeah. I went to the register. I paid with my credit card. And I'm not going to lie, I was only partly paying attention to the transaction. I kind of had my mind occupied on something else at the time. Something entered my mind, and I was processing that. And I was under the impression that I saw $15 on the display, okay? And I just, not thinking, I'm thinking maybe there was a $15 out-of-pocket thing. That was my mindset. Don't ask me why I thought that. It's just that thought came into my head. But I told the cashier, just put it all in the card. Which he did, and I rang it up, and, I leave the Toys R Us, and all of a sudden I had this funny feeling. I checked the receipt, and lo and behold, according to the receipt, I paid about $8. I paid $8 for this toy. For this $80 toy, I got I got one hell of a discount on this toy, okay? I paid $8 for this toy. And I couldn't believe it. It wasn't until later that when I took it back home that I looked at the bottom where the barcode is, and some dude put a sticker for $9.99. And because I bought this on a Thursday, I got 10% off, so I roughly got it for about $8. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason why I own this thing, because of a freaking fluke and a voice in my head which told me, don't buy it now, buy it later. And this is what happened. So yeah, $8. Yeah, okay, so that's that's my little story on how and why I got this DragonZord. Yeah, let's get started, and let's start with the box, as I've been holding it and showing it to you for like the past 10 minutes. It's a box. It's a very nice box. It has the black and gold DragonZord right there. It's all pretty and bold and beautiful. It has, you know, limited edition DragonZord all in gold. On the side here we have the bio of, just kind of the bio of the Zord, the specs. Yes, the specs are down here. On the back we have another nice picture of the DragonZord with its other two applications to interact with the Megazord. And then of course, you know, my $9.99 sticker. So yeah, I mean it's a nice box. It's a nice collector's edition box. And just as a quick comparison, you know, the original DragonZord box. Oh wow, there's a weird echo. There is a weird echo in between these two boxes. This is funky. This is very funky, very distracting. This is the DragonZord box. This is the original. This is the all right. So you know, big size difference. There we go. Big size difference here. Okay, but you know, it's kind of cool. I have them both, even though my original box here, it's kind of beat up a little bit. But, you know, oh, it even has a very similar picture. Both DragonZords are standing in a very similar pose. So, you know, those are the boxes. Those are the boxes. Let's move on. And here he is, the black and gold DragonZord. Oh my god. This thing is beautiful. It's just effing beautiful. Taking the DragonZord out of the box requires some minor assembly, but once it's all put together, it looks amazing, with its black and gold color scheme and ornate designs sculpted into the toy. And it is more show accurate than the original DragonZord toy's lightning bolt decals, which the original decals on my old DragonZord are starting to peel, and that is very, very unfortunate. You know, this is one reason why I'm not a big fan of stickers on toys. Never have been. But yeah, it's you know, my old DragonZord is cool and all, but it's starting to look its age with the lousy stickers. You know, what can I say? It even has sculpted, stylized Z's in the foot treads, so that when the DragonZord crushes you with its giant feet, you know that your gruesome death will be brought to you by the letter Zordon. But really, overall, this thing is just black, bold, and beautiful. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But yeah, this DragonZord feels very weighty. It's a pretty heavy toy. It does have die-cast metal parts, primarily in its giant stompy feet, and in the pelvis area is also die-cast metal. The rest of the toy is plastic. The Legacy Edition is about the same size as the original. I mean, there are some scaling differences between the two figures when it comes to armor pieces, but height-wise, they stand roughly about the same. The original DragonZord barely had any articulation. The legs would move a little bit up and down. The arms would move a little bit up and down. The new DragonZord is, well, it's a little bit better. Wrist swivels, shoulder movement, however the shoulders do need to be unpegged from the body. It's part of the DragonZord battle mode, but it does give it just a little bit extra shoulder movement. The legs and knees have a little bit more movement. It does have a little bit more bend at the knee. It has a little bit of an ankle tilt, but actually the greatest level of articulation would be the DragonZord's tail. It's a long tail with segmented pieces and it can just wag in any which way direction it wants. It's kind of weird that the tail is more articulated than the rest of the figure, but hey, that's a huge one-up over the original D-Zord's tail, which was basically just short and stiff as a board. Black Edition DragonZord even has swappable hands. Yes, that's right, it comes with a pair of more relaxed hands. The stiff hands are more for the missile launcher mode, and the other hands are, well, I guess for smacking Rita's bitch monsters around, I suppose. However, this DragonZord has 2 other modes. Wait, am I going to have to do a transformation sequence? Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. On with it. If you happen to own the Power Rangers Legacy Megazord set, which I do not, you could make the Mega DragonZord. I mean, you can still make the torso. If I had the rest of the pieces, I could make the rest. But looking at the torso mode, this thing could be awesome. It does have a nice look to them. The feet become the kneecaps, the shoulder areas become the Green Ranger crest, and the DragonZord mouth does open up to reveal a nice little face sculpt. It's actually pretty darn cool. It's passable, it's serviceable, it looks good. I think it would look nice with the rest of the pieces. So, this is cool, I dig it. There is a piece of this that I'm not a big fan of. As part of the weapon mode for Mega DragonZord, we have the Lance, which is the tail, collapsed down, and we have the chest piece and kind of crotch plate attached to this Roman Greco kind of pillar statue thing. And I've never liked this. This has kind of always sucked, in my opinion. It just looks very unwieldy and probably very difficult to use. And my opinion of it is my low opinion of it is even reinforced by the fact that these stands, the feet, they don't even stand well. If you notice, these 2 feet right here, they are angled upwards, where these 2 feet are actually level. So that means it only stands on 2 feet. So this cannot stand on its own. It will fall over. It needs to be held by the toy in order to remain stable. I think that might be like a bit of mold. The plastic mold might be just crappy. Maybe they just did a lousy job. I don't know. I mean, I know the original DragonZord toy that I have, this stands up fine all by itself. So it has to be, this is like an imperfection. But wait, there's more. DragonZord has a 3rd mode. Well, sort of, but not really. It's a cowl for the Megazord. I'm going to put this down. It's a little awkward. But yeah, that's right. The Megazord can wear the DragonZord over its head and shoulders, much like a skinned animal pelt. Because, I guess that's kind of metal if you really think about it, but I was never a big fan of that, and I'm never going to use it because I'm probably never going to own the Legacy Megazord. So, yeah, cowl mode. So yeah, Power Rangers Legacy Black Edition DragonZord. Do I recommend it? Hells to the yeah, I do. This DragonZord is a collector's dream. This thing is pretty much just the bee's knees. And even if you have to pay full price, I would still get it. This thing is just badass and pure love, and it definitely has earned a place on my shelf if I had any shelf room at the moment, which I think he's long overdue for some shelf time. But yeah, I'm JimClassic. and you have been watching Geekin' It.